Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to today's meetup. So today's topic for the meetup would be optimizing cloud cost with AWS well-architected framework. So all attendees are muted by default. If you have any queries or any question answers, we'll just take at last. So accordingly, you can shoot your questions on the question tabs. Accordingly, we'll take it up. Okay. So quick intro about myself and my colleague. So myself, Sanket Parde, I am a cloud solution architect at Cloud.in with having an overall experience of 3+ years and dealing with multiple kind of a cloud solutions end to end kind of a having the migration projects, any kind of a POCs, any related to any projects related to cloud infrastructure management. So I'm into in that stuff. Along with me, my colleague Rutuja Upin is there. She is also cloud solution architect, working along with me to build the cloud solutions. So me and Rutuja will be talking about how can we have the optimize of your cloud AWS cloud cost using the AWS well-architected framework. Okay. So now let's understand about the cloud.in first. So basically cloud.in is a 25-year-old company which began its journey from with AWS from since 2006, where the first launch of S3 service has been begun. And along with that, we were also having the domain register and hosting services that we used to provide to our customers. That offerings we do have related to hosting, SSL certificates, domain migrations, and a dedicated server along with. So we are coming to our diversity, coming to our journey about the cloud. So we have been pastly for the last 7-8 years, we have been with the strong holding of the cloud infrastructure. Coming to the AWS part, as we are also having a AWS tier batch of it, and coming to the SOC and NOC services, we do provide a 24/7 NOC services as well as the managed services for multiple clouds, but mostly focus on the AWS part. So let us understand about some key takeaways. So currently we are having 65 plus AWS certified IT professional, which includes mostly of the associates and the professionals certified teammates. Along with it, there are some specialty certifications we do hold that are count as 12 plus kind of thing. Overall, you can consider the 150 plus certifications to till that we have achieved. Apart from it, we do have managing workloads of cloud environments. Its count is 250 plus, means handling the domain parts, handling the cloud parts, as well as its MSP. And coming to our NOC and SOC services, we do have a dedicated team. Also, we have a kind of a dedicated projects for the dedicated PMOs, dedicated thing. Along with we also provide a resource augmentations along with it. So these are some of the services we provide, and we have the expertise in this thing. So to name a few, first is the implementation and migration of the cloud process. Definitely from whether it is on-prem, whether it is any cloud to cloud migration, we do handle it end to end, and we do have a higher the success rate of the migration projects. Second is the cloud and management and FinOps activities, cloud consultancy and advisory, managed cloud services. Our expertise also lies in the CDN media and edge services related to the edge services. Along with we hold some service deliveries along with the competencies part, which are the expertise from AWS we have been provided that for the particular part we have been allocated of the expertise of that particular services and particular migration thing. Apart from it, we do provide resource augmentations, and recently we have been also develop our GenAI call analytics project. Its name is call analytics. Now, to explore the call analytics, you can just get in touch with the cloud.in sales team. In the last, there will be a details. So our tech partners coming to the cloud platforms, we are tied up with AWS, Azure, and GCP. And coming to the security platforms, Checkpoint, F5, Fortinet are security partners which help in security profiles, making the cloud security stronger. And apart from security and cloud platforms, we do have a New Relic, Druva, VMware, and Confluent as a handholding partner for analytics purpose, data backup purpose, and other stuff. Coming to the expertise, as I was mentioning about the competencies and service deliveries, as you can see over the screen, these are the 12 plus other service deliveries what we have been achieved for the last past with journey with the cloud.in, and these are the competencies. Recently, we have been achieved the migration competency, which has been a great achievement for our cloud.in's part. So whatever related to your on-prem migrations or any cloud-to-cloud migration, so this competency has been our expertise, and we have been expertise in that particular migration projects as well. Coming to the industry verticals we serve, these are the industry verticals we are very much diversified in multiple sectors. I can see the media, entertainment, e-com, IT, government, FMCG, finance, pharma, manufacturing, and also the startups also. So we have been making our hands dirty in these many multiple sectors, whether it is a new setup, whether it is a migration, or whether it is a new requirement from any AI perspective as well as the ML perspective, and along with the security as well. So we have been dwelling into multiple industry sectors along with definitely the tender part as well as and the startup project as well. So coming to the agenda for the meetup, here are the line items I would say that me and Rutuja will be covering up in this meetup. So first half will be covered by me and second half will take over from the Rutuja. So here are the topics that we'll be covering. Why the cloud optimization matters, means what is the basic understanding of it, means why recently it has been observed that multiple cloud partners have been facing a lot of cloud concern issues. They have been incurring a lot of charges. So we'll just understand that. Then we'll understand about the well architected framework, which is a framework designed by the AWS. How can you optimize your cost? Not only cost optimization, but what are the other pillars you can take into consideration, and to have your infrastructure to be well architected. Third, five design principle of optimization that will understand what are the exact five key takeaways, or what are the major key takeaways for the optimization part. Later on, the key optimization strategies. What are the optimization strategy we can have to have your infra properly optimized? We'll understand about the tools and optimization part of it. How can we leverage native AWS services to have that optimization in the picture? And lastly, we'll just have a use cases discussion where we'll help you to know these were the customers that been coming to the AWS and they have to optimize it. So how they have been optimized their cost. Okay. So have you ever been surprised by an AWS bill? I know this question might be a very much familiar to everyone because as a start we used to have the AWS free tier, right? But free tier is for the only 1 year kind of thing. But later on we need to pay it on a pay as you go service. But there might be some scenario where you have been facing lot of AWS bill, whether you have been start of your server and you just forgot to stop it. So you have been incurring charges or some other stuff like that, right? Maybe you must be exploring any some other new services and you just forgot to stop it or just terminate it. You have been incurring charges. So just to avoid this stuff and just to have the mitigation in the picture, so further slides will give you a proper gist of what you need to capture, what are the tools you need to have in the picture, and how you can take it forward to have your infra and the cost in budget. So why cloud optimization matters, right? So cloud adoption is a you can consider cloud adoption is accelerating, but many organizations struggle with the cost management, right? So did you know, means according to the Gartners, up to 30% of cloud spending has been wasted due to the inefficiencies. Okay, so what are the common challenges, means considering whatever we have been doing R&D, apart from my experience, I would tell you ki what we have mostly faced, what are the customers tell us to us. First is the over provisioning, right? Paying for resources you don't use, basically means whatever the resources you have been launching, you might be not using it. So just you have to terminate it because no use of paying if you're not using it, right? Second is the ideal resources. Means for example, the instances you must be running, they must be not running 24 by 7. So you don't need to keep it running 24 by 7. You can have it in a whatever the your non-working hours, whatever the your working hours, you can have that scheduling option done using a Lambda script or any automation done in the picture. You can have that. So just to avoid some extra cost, right? Third is the unnecessary data transfer cost. Means whatever you have been done networking part, whatever the connectivity you have been giving, the VPC peering or any on-premises to the AWS connection. You can have that check. How is the networking going on? How is the subnetting part done? Whether it is uh, talking from VPC A to VPC B, you can have that VPC peering in the picture. You don't need to have some connectivity or any kind of a networking in the picture to avoid that data transfer out cost, right? And last is definitely the visibility of your whole infra. Means you need to have a proper tracking at your end, whether it can be through any uh, cost explorer tools or any kind of a budgeting part. So without a proper cost tracking and business aligning of your budget, it cannot be have that control. So you need to have a proper set of a budget for that particular project so it can be aligned properly. So basically, effective cloud cost optimization ensures that you only pay only for what you need while maximizing your performance, right? So whatever you're consuming over the services, you need to have that only in the picture. You don't need to have the over provision of the services or any over provision of the multiple set of tools you have there. Okay. And apart from that, AWS provides tools and best practices, right? So there are some tools that later on my colleague would be explaining about the tools and how it is then. Further, we'll move to the slide. So let's understand about the well-architected framework, right? So, well-architected framework came into the picture to help cloud businesses build efficient, secure, and scalable architecture, basically. So there are multiple ways we can have that optimization in the picture. But if you're following this well-architected framework as of now or in future, you're definitely your infra will be in a proper well-architected terms, right? So basically, the framework consists of the six pillars: so operational excellence, security, reliability, performance, cost, and newer pillar has been introduced the sustainability, which is very much also important as well as from a bio environment friendly, eco-friendly kind of environments, the sustainability came into the picture, right? So one by one, we'll walk you through. You can just have a overview of this well-architected framework exactly. So basically, the operation excellence is basically for the automating and streamline the operation processes, right? At your end, security is one of the key pillar would you consider for the protecting your workloads and your definitely the data is a core key factor as of today considering thing. Reliability, it you can consider as ensuring your system resiliency and have to achieve the fault tolerance basically, right? Your system needs to be have the fault tolerance in the picture. Fourth is the performance efficiency. Efficiency is the right sizing of the workloads for your performance, right? Means whatever your workloads are running, that needs to be properly right sized. You don't need to over provision of your resources coming to the servers, coming to the any kind of a workload part. And cost optimization, it's our focus of today only. So we'll be just having that, which help us the business to reduce waste, cost, or right size the resources and implement the cost of your architecture, right? So it will help you in that particular thing in this framework. And sustainability, definitely the management of your whatever your workloads are there. Means for example, if you are residing in an Indian region, you don't need to have your infra from a US based region, because why need to you provision from another region, right? If you are there is some compliance point of view or any kind of thing, you can have it in a, from Indian region side only. So now let's explore this pillar in depth thoda sa. So operational excellence focuses on running workload efficiently, basically, right? As I mentioned you about the automation, the processes. So implementing automated workflows to reduce some manual intervention and improvement in that efficiency. And second, I would say the continuously monitoring system must be there in the picture performance and gathering insights for the improvements. Defining a clear operational procedure to respond quickly for the to avoid some failures and minimize your downtime, right? When your operations team is in the picture, so it's providing a 24/7 knock and sock services, definitely you would expect whatever I'm running means, for example, if I'm hosting a website, it must be running 100% uptime, right? So this can be come into the picture. So whatever your operational procedures are there, whatever your monitoring stuff is there, it needs to be in a proper way where we can have that automation in the picture. If there is a downtime, how can we mitigate automatically, right? So for this we can have some uh, automation tools like cloud formation or AWS CDK to automate these deployments. whether you wanted to have your infra spin up in the next 5 minutes, you can have this cloud formation templates in the picture. Otherwise, you can also have established means the run books or the playbooks are there, right? Some templates are there predefined to ensure smooth troubleshooting and recovery process, where you can leverage, for example, AWS config service or any system manager just to have automation of the patch management. Config service can your uh, infra can be properly recorded, whatever the going things. You can have some SCPs policies predefined set from IAM level or from organization level. So this can be covered in the operational part. Okay, so just to highlight on the operational parts, how you can have that automated or what AWS native services can be picturized there. So AWS CloudWatch is basically one where you can have that real-time monitoring and have that alerting mechanism for your AWS resources. Second is the system management, where you can have the centralized management done for the server, for the patch management or any automation you wanted to have. Third is the auto scaling, right? To ensure your optimal resource allocation based on whatever your demand. So you can have that auto scaling template in the picture where you can scale your resource horizontally based on your usage, based on your request count or whatever you might be have that metrics in the picture. You can have that scaling in the picture. Last is the formation template, the cloud formation template, which will definitely ensure your infrastructure to be deployed in automation way, and that would be a proper consistency, I would say, because while launching there would be a manual errors, right? But if you are having a cloud formation readily template available, definitely there are the chances of getting manual errors will be a lower side, and whatever you wanted to deploy, it will be in an automated way. So there will be no lack of I would say the infrastructure provisioning would be in a proper way, in a proper format, whatever you wanted to have that particular instances to be deployed. So just an example, let's consider a DevOps team, right? They wanted to have that automation deployment. So there would be also they can have that CI/CD in the picture, right? Just to have that automation in the picture where they can avoid the human errors and accelerate the feature of the releases, right? So whatever you wanted to release the code or whatever the infrastructure that can be handled by a particular automation through CI/CD process, right? So second is the security, means basically the protecting your workloads and whatever the data residing in the AWS cloud. So security in the cloud is a basically a shared responsibility. Okay, we just need to note this point because it is a very crucial point. Security in the cloud is a shared responsibility between the AWS and the customer, because it's a job for the both team, the AWS as well as the client or whatever who is handling this AWS cloud, because it is not only job of the AWS to protect your data, but how you handle your infra, how you manage your infra by considering AWS native services to protect your data. So that is the main thing, right? So this is the key word in the AWS part, the responsibility between the AWS and the customer for the security pillar, right? Now this pillar ensures the workloads that are well protected against your whatever the threats must be there. So considering the key objectives or the key practices, I would say implementation of the identity and access management to enforce the least privilege access, means whatever you are giving access to your, let's say if you wanted to have the developer access to be given, so you can have that groups created for the developer, assign the particular policies to that particular developer and have that MFA enable, and you can have that password policies expirations set to be in a 90 days or whatever. There must be a compliance point at your end, so this can be done at the IAM level, right? And second is the enable the encryption of data at rest and in transit. Now where definitely the data would be a crucial role, so whatever the necessary thing at rest and in transit you can have. So there are multiple services you can have this thing, the KMS is there, you can use leverage of that, where you can have sensitive data to be protected, and whatever the secret manager is there to store your password of the databases, you can definitely leverage that. Third is the monitoring the security threats with the real-time alerts and automated responses, where you can have multiple monitoring services from AWS, and also there must be a kind of a centralized security hub also where you can have in the picture. Okay, and for the inspection of your infra or any kind of a threat alert, there is a guard duty and inspector services. So to name a few of the services from AWS for the security part, definitely the IAM would be there. It would be as a working as a role-based access control for AWS. KMS, which would definitely help you in the encrypting of sensitive data and the secrets. AWS WAF and Shield, these are the major key services, and definitely it would help in your mitigating or it would be definitely protection against web application threats, or you wanted to have the automated mitigation of the DDoS attacks. So definitely Advanced Shield would be a key service which you can leverage and definitely deploy on your infra. Guard duty would be a kind of a AI-driven threat detection for the AWS environment. Definitely, it will help you in a multiple factors, would you say. And for any some stuff of a vulnerability assessment testing, you can leverage the AWS Inspector service, right? So just example of a security pillar, financial services company, right? They would definitely have that security in the picture. So whatever the use of IAM config to enforce the security policies, it would definitely prevent them in unauthorized access to the critical customers data, right? Because the data from a finance or a financial sector point of view, data is a key source for them. So that would be definitely a critical thing for them, and we should definitely have that protected. Whatever the native services from AWS, we can leverage it. Third is the reliability. Now, reliability definitely ensuring your system resilience and have the fault tolerance architecture, right? So that system should be recovered. Basically, system should be recovered quickly from the failures and operate consistently under the varying workloads. Means whatever your workload, it might scale, or whatever data it might scale, but definitely your system needs to be in a handle that failure. Means whether dr, you need to have a dr in the picture, or you need, if any circumstances arises key, there is a downtime of this much time. So how your system is resilient, how your system is resilient to handle that failure, right? So let's understand about the key objectives or the key practices. So basically designing your architecture from a high availability point of view, distributing your workloads from a multiple AZs or multi regions kind of thing. Now, implementation of the fault tolerance architecture would be definitely a key areas where you need to have that fault tolerant architecture, considering from a ability point of view. Although you can have automating recovery mechanism also in the picture, just to have that self-healing capabilities of your infra. Means whether your infra is down, you don't need to have manually spin up the instances. There must be some formation templates, right? As we spoke about in the operational pillar. So that must be some automation thing where we can have that, okay, this, if this failure arises, we need to have the instance spin up in this much time. And definitely a backup is a key area in the resiliency or the reliability pillar. Backup and disaster recovery strategies, right, to ensure your business continuity of the cloud. So wherever it is there necessary, you need to have that high availability as well as the dr strategy into picture. Now, to understand some of the services that we can have reliability pillar in the picture, is first one is the definitely the route 53, the DNS service, which would definitely help in the management of the failover as well as the DNS management. So whatever our, let's say, primary workload is there in the Mumbai regions, now we need to shift to the secondary region. So route 50 would be a mechanism where we can have that set that the failover management, if Mumbai region goes down, we need to shift our workload to the A to B. So route 50 will play a key role in that part. ALB, the application load balancer or elastic load balancer, you must be considered to distribute your traffic workload across the multiple instances, where auto scaling and LB would work hand in hand. So it would have that traffic management in the picture properly. S3 cross region replication is one of the key service, means one of the key feature in the S3, which would definitely provide a data redundancy across AWS regions, where you can have your S3 objects to be considered in multiple regions at a single feature only. AWS backup is one of the major service where for the automation part of the backups, where you can have multiple kind of data storage managed in a centralized way only. So automated backups for databases, files, and storage volumes can be handled by an AWS backup service only. So this majorly reliability would come into the picture. For example, ecom platform, where they need to have your infra to be deployed in multi-region databases, right? And also there are multiple kind of a databases services, right? Not only RDS, now Aurora also in the picture, where Aurora is having a multiple kind of a multi-replica feature is there in that, so it can prevent your downtime during the regional failures or any AZ failures. So Aurora can be a key services from a ecom platform point of view, right? So we'll move to the next slide. Performance efficiency, right? So basically performance efficiency is you can consider right sizing workloads for your workloads, where you can have that performance ensure that workload used to have more efficient or efficient resources from our AWS services for performance and cost effectiveness, right? So what are the key objectives we will consider? So whatever your resources you are selecting, right, from AWS point of view. So there are 200 plus services from a various sector point of view: compute, ML, databases, security. So selecting the right AWS services based on your workload requirements, which would be a very crucial role. So whatever your workload might there, you just need to define it. You just need to have that assessment, and you just need to done that architecture properly. Post that, you can have that AWS services and selection of the AWS services done properly. Second is the optimizing your compute and storage resources for the better performance. Now, let's say if you have been deployed one of the EC2 instances, let's say a size of M5 large, but later on you observe that this compute is not consuming up to the max. So you can just reduce it to the some T instances or T family or any other downgrade family where you can have that resources utilized properly, whatever the compute and memory is allocated to that particular instance, that is properly utilized and 100% utilized in the end of the month. So whatever you're paying, that is completely utilized basically, right? And definitely third is leveraging the caching mechanism. So definitely whatever a website is, that there must be having some static content. So where you can have leverage of the caching mechanism in the picture to if it definitely boost your or enhance your application responsiveness, as well as means whatever your website is, that definitely it would, the loading time, the basically the latency would definitely at a lower side, and whatever your responsive from a page is expected from a website, it will definitely boost up your productivity as well, right, of the website. So what are the key services for the performance efficiency? I would say EC2 auto scaling definitely means to adjust your compute or to adjust its compute capacity dynamically. AWS Lambda would be one thing because it is a serverless computing service where you can have whatever your code deployed in using the Lambda service, where you can have the event-driven workloads deployed there. Caching, for the caching part, CDN would be in the picture, the cloud front basically. Amazon Elastic Cache, basically caching service to accelerate your application performance only. Global accelerator would be one of the thing which would improve your network performance for the global applications. Now performance, now caching, whatever I have just discussed about you in this points, basically it would, which sector would you like to map with? I would say media related sector, right? A media streaming company would be there. It would be definitely in streaming part, the caching part would be a more utilized there. So media streaming company would be using the cloud front or any caching content where it would wanted to have that global reach, right? To just to reduce the latency for the users. So where this performance efficiency can be mapped according to that particular media sector. Cost optimization, yes. So whatever the today's focus is out there on the cost optimization, basically maximizing your business value while reducing your cost. It would definitely ensure minimize the expenses, means whatever your allocated budget is there for the IT cost or IT project is there. So definitely to ensure that these are some key practices where we can have. First is the, you can say, the eliminating the ideal resources or the right kind of selection of instances, right? As we discussed earlier, using the savings plans or any reserve instances plans where we can have your workloads done to be in a commitment kind of area, and whatever your workload is there where we can predict for this, let's say later on 6 months there will be some workload will be going for a 30%, 40%. So where we can have that commitment done with the AWS, where we can have procurement of reserve instances plan where we would be getting discounting of 60 to 70%. Okay. Third one would be the leveraging the spot instances for non-critical and flexible workloads. Now, the spot instances are basically on a demand-based kind of thing where you can have, suppose you wanted to have the testing done. Let's say you wanted to test AWS cloud servers, right? So you can have the spot instance in the picture. You don't need to procure any instances for 24/7. You can use this spot instances for a hourly basis, and you can just terminate it as per the requirement. And optimizing your data transfer out cost, where we can have, let's say if you are having static content of website and you wanted to host in a S3 kind of thing, where you can also have that S3 storage, different storage tier which can be leveraged, right? Where it can be a storage can be stored in a multiple tiers. The standard tier is there, glacier is there, deep archive is there. Based on your requirement, based on your what say how you can access, how you wanted to access that data, how frequent you are accessing that data. Based on that, you can choose the storage tier according to it, and you can put the data according to that particular tier. So what are the services? Now later on, Rutuja will explain you about the tools, what are the tools and what are the key factor strategies you need to it. But just to understand about the cost optimization thing, I will just name a few of the services. The Cost Explorer is one of them, where you can analyze and forecast it, whatever your cost is there, you can have that. Compute Optimizer is there, where you can get the recommendations from the AWS itself, where which service, which instance is better based on your usage. S3 intelligent tiering is one of the feature. Auto scaling definitely is the key factor, prevents over provisioning of compute resources. Now, for the SaaS, you can consider for the example, a SaaS company would be definitely a key feature in that part. The SaaS company would play a key role, whether you wanted to leverage any service. So we'll move to the last pillar is the sustainability pillar. Now AWS introduced the sustainability pillar in 2021 only. So basically focusing on minimizing the environment and environmental impact of the cloud workloads, right? So what are the key objectives of these pillars? Let's understand quickly. So using energy efficient architectures and optimizing resource utilization, right? Or as I mentioned you about the selecting your AWS region with a lower carbon footprints, where it would definitely impact overall structure. Means whatever the data center residing to your nearby location, preferred to be used that, not the another region level thing. Implementing any serverless solution to reduce compute waste, right? Because in the end, whatever we are getting services from AWS, basically it's hosted at a data center level. So more the compute, more the electricity is burning at the data center level. So just to avoid that and lower the carbon footprints, we can have this considered in the picture. Or automating of the shutdown of non-essential workloads where not in use. So to help the sustainability pillar in the picture, where which services we can do it is Graviton processor, use the Graviton processor, S3 intelligent tiering, auto scaling in the picture, or also there is a sustainability dashboard which provides the insights into environmental impact. You can just hover over the sustainability well architected pillar where you can see. So many tech giants company can use this, and definitely it would definitely reduce the energy consumption by, you can say, 30-40%, or if we are everyone is following this pillar, we can definitely reach up to 60%, while it will be helping lowering of your cost as well as the environment friendly infra. So now these are the 5 design principles for the cost optimization. So we'll just understand quickly. So basically just to implement cloud financial management, so where you can have this management in the picture, allocating of the FinOps culture at your company, using the native services from the data and aligning your cloud spendings within your business plan or business objectives. Basically, what are the business goals and goals? So you can have that adoption of a consumption model where you can have means multiple kind of a services, as we discuss in this well architected framework only, the auto scaling, the serverless, S3 intelligent tiering, where you can have in that picture just major overall efficiency, basically track your cost as per the your workloads, or you can say whatever the services are there, you can have that monitoring done properly. Last two are the stop pending on the undifferentiated heavy lifting, where you can have some self-managed workloads to be considered, or self-managed databases, and definitely a centralized services are there came into the picture, the security hub and the backup. You can have that in the picture. And optimize, last is the optimize over time, where you can have that audits done regularly basis, where you can have this well architected framework done on a 6 monthly basis, where you can have refine and review your cost spendings and accordingly have your savings done together, and definitely stay updated with the AWS new services which are coming up there to have that cost optimization. Now further slides will be taken by Rutuja, so I request Rutuja to take it over.
Thank you so much, Ankit. Hi, everyone. So, moving on to the next slide, that is key AWS cost optimization strategies. So, the first step in cloud cost optimization is basically to understand the fundamental strategies that they provide us. And there are multiple ways by which you can reduce unnecessary spending while maintaining the performance and reliability into your infra. So let us break them down each one by one and understand deeply. First comes the right sizing of your resources. So basically, all of your resources, specifically EC2 instances, which are highly used, should be not over provisioned or underutilized. You should be using and choosing the correct instance type based on your workload needs. Capture the configuration correctly because there is scalability option in each AWS resource and you can further scale it. But initially, you should start on with the exact configuration that your workload requires. Second, we have the auto scaling and on-demand resources. So with auto scaling, as Sanket mentioned earlier, you can scale dynamically rather than reallocating multiple resources that you may not need 24 by 7. You don't need to have two, three, for example, servers uh, occupied for one specific application in the fear of low scalability, wherein you can have an auto scaling template involved in your infra, which will dynamically scale as per your infra increases. Next, we have leveraging savings plan and reserved instances. So this is a very great option that AWS provides us, wherein you can uh, leverage savings plan or maybe reserved instances for your predictable workloads, wherein you have to commit long-term savings instead of relying on solely on-demand pricing. Basically, there is a commitment that comes with these plans. So you have to commit either a 1 year or for a 3 year tenure to AWS, and they will give you great savings up to 60 to 70% of savings are acquired by these plans. Next, we have the usage of spot instances. So for non-critical and flexible workloads, if you have such workloads into your infra, you can actually use spot instances that provide huge cost savings, which are utilizing the spare AWS capacity that is there. So spot instances is a great alternative if you have flexible workloads and they are not that critical for business, and you can have these instances in use. Next is to optimize the storage costs. So basically, S3 is a great service which can be utilized and customized as per your specific data storage needs. You can use the lifecycle policies, Glacier, and intelligent tiering, and there are many more storage classes that S3 provides, wherein you can store your less accessed data and achieve cost-effective storage for your infra. And the last one is enabling cost explorer and budgets. So regularly monitoring is the key for each resource. AWS Cost Explorer and the budgets help you track your spending to avoid any surprises that you might get at the end of your month. So monitoring your spend is the key, and you should be doing that. So by implementing these very basic strategies, these are very few, there are many more strategies as per you dig in, but these are very basic strategies that should be implemented by companies uh, so to reduce their cost significantly without compromising on their efficiency. Moving forward, let us now understand, so since we've discussed these strategies, let us now talk about the AWS tools that help us implement these strategies effectively. So AWS basically offers a robust suite of cost optimization tools that provide you visibility with automation and actionable insights as well to control your uh, cost spending. First comes the AWS Cost Explorer, which is very popular. It will it will visualize and analyze your cost trends. This is one of the biggest. There are one of the biggest challenges that organizations face is understanding where their cost cloud budget is going. So it is very difficult to basically understand where are you exactly spending and which resource are you exactly spending. So Cost Explorer makes it very simpler. It provides you a graphical view of the cost trends over time. So you can actually check with time in which specific month, in which resource have you spent more or less. It gives you insights into which services and accounts the costs are driving more. And it also helps you forecast capabilities based on your past usage trends. So you can actually forecast for future months how can you decrease going forward your costs. For example, imagine if you have you can imagine you have a SaaS product with multiple AWS accounts. And at the end of the month, you notice that there's a 30% spike in your EC2 costs. So instead of now you will be in a doubt where you have in which EC2 instance you've spent more. So you can leverage AWS Cost Explorer, which actually shows you that certain instance you were running with high CPU utilization, which has been costed you more. And you can then decide whether you should be right sizing them or you should be moving forward purchasing savings plan for those instances. So next tool that we have is AWS budgets, which helps you set alerts and control costs. So this tool actually helps you set spending limits, and it also gives you alerts when your usage exceeds the budget thresholds that you have set. It is a very essential tool basically, where you have like if you have multiple workloads and it is getting difficult for you to keep track of each account, each workload that you have running in your account, you can actually set budgets for that specific workload and be alerted whenever that threshold is hit. So you can set custom, as I said, you can set custom cost and usage budgets for different teams, different projects that you have in your account. You can have automated alerts as well. It will be received to you via email or SNS notification will be shared whenever your cost exceeds the limit that you have set. Also, it can be integrated with cost anomaly detection to spot unusual spikes in your spending. You can integrate it with the cost anomaly detection service as well to understand where you have when you have spiked, what is the unusual spike, what is the cause of it. For example, you can consider if there is a fintech company that is being using AWS budgets and they have set a limit of maybe $10,000 for a month. And midway through the month, on the 10th or the 11th day of the month, you've reached 7,500 directly. So they automatically receive an alert, further to which you can investigate how have you reached this specific limit so early. And also, there's a great feature AWS Budgets gives you that it basically AWS forecasts your monthly usage. So AWS Budget gives you an alert whenever your forecasted amount is also hitting your limit. So by that, you can initially priorly set your limits and understand where are you spending more, so you can reduce that and reduce your cost initially. Next, we have the AWS Compute Optimizer. This is basically a right sizing recommendation service, which takes the guesswork out of choosing the right EC2 instance types for your workload. It uses, in the backend, it basically uses, you can say, machine learning to analyze your workloads, current workloads, and recommend better suited instances for cost saving purposes. So it basically provides you can say, right sizing recommendations for multiple services, not only EC2, you have it for EC2, Lambda, EBS, and Fargate as well. It analyzes the usage patterns of your current workload and reduce the underutilization. It also suggests you to move to Graviton based instances for a better price performance since they are very cost effective. Next, you have the AWS Compute Optimizer. Uh, it also takes you, oh, sorry, I've just done that. Yeah. Next, sorry, you have the Trusted Advisor. So basically, this is a best practice cross check that you can do automatically. It is basically, it works as an advisor. It acts like a virtual cloud consultant, you can say, providing you the best practice checks across cost, security, and performance. So specific to cost optimization, it helps you with identifying the underutilized EC2 instances that you have in your account that you can stop or maybe resize. It flags the unused EBS volumes and the ideal load balancers that are adding unnecessary costs. So maybe Once it has flagged, you can delete them, delete the unused volumes, delete the load balancers which have no targets and they're just lying around increasing the cost. It also recommends reserved instances and savings plan adoption for the long-term cost reduction, wherein you can have a commitment and save up to 60 to 72% cost over your EC2 compute instances. Next, we have as I said, AWS savings plan and reserved instances. So these are basically for predictable workloads wherein you have a stable, where you know that this specific EC2 instance will have a stable utilization, and you can promise a commitment to AWS for over 1 year or maybe 3 year, and you will have the stable utilization. You don't need to you will not have frequent scalability issues, and the utilization is stable. You can purchase savings plans. There are two types of savings plans: compute savings plan and EC2 savings plan, and also reserved instances, which has a tenure of 1 year or 3 year. And the last one is AWS billing dashboard. So this basically gives you a complete cost visibility, and it acts as a single pane of glass where you can track and manage all your AWS expenses. So it obviously provides you real-time spending insights across all your AWS accounts and services. It gives you a granular breakdown of costs by the resource type, be it data transfer, be it your EC2, RDS, any service, whichever is incurring you cost, you can have a granular view of it, in which month, on which day, how much cost is being spent on that specific resource. You get a complete granular view with the billing dashboard. And also forecasting tools to predict the future cloud expenses. So as I said before, AWS actually forecasts your cost spending, and it will forecast it for a whole month. So you can actually understand with that specific cost on that specific day what is the forecasted bill for your month. So you can reduce it accordingly. So each one of these tools serves a very unique purpose, but the real power comes obviously when you combine them strategically. Just to summarize all the tools, you can use AWS Cost Explorer for the cost trends and forecasting. And so next you can set proactive spending alerts with the AWS budgets, and you can optimize cloud compute costs with AWS Compute Optimizer. You should be leveraging trusted advisor for the underutilized resources. Save big with the savings plan and reserved instances, and track everything from your billing dashboards. So if you use the tool for that the purpose that it specifically serves, your cloud cost optimization will be automatically visible to you within 1 2 months of your implementation. So those were the tools and the strategies that we should be implementing, and now we can understand how it was really used by understanding the use case. So basically this is a use case of a company called Alert Logic, which is a global managed security detection and response provider company. So it operates an extensive amount of AWS environment with over 3,000 plus virtual servers, 5,000 containers, and petabytes of storage. So they have a lot of AWS workload being managed at their end. Recently, they had migrated from 6 co-location data centers to AWS, and it was actually getting very difficult for them to manage and optimize cloud costs. So the challenge that they were facing is that they couldn't manage, since they recently migrated, they were having difficulties in managing and optimizing their cloud costs. The solution to this that they to address these challenges, they actually got in touch with the AWS team and had few strategies aligned by which they achieved many benefits. First is the utilization of cloud financial management tools. They engaged with, as I said, they engaged with AWS experts to adopt best practices and tools as we discussed earlier, such as AWS cost usage reports, AWS cost explorer, setting AWS budgets. So by implementing these very basic strategies, they got the benefits of optimizing their cost. Next, they also, as I said, they implemented savings plan. They took the adoption of implementing savings plan to cover up to 80% of their compute costs, which offered them a flexible and discounted pricing. And this could literally significantly reduce the compute cost by 52% for their EC2 resources, basically. They also conducted right sizing of their EC2 instances, optimized the ECS clusters that they had, and reconfigured the network routing using Transit Gateway. Additionally, they also employed the Cost Explorer for cost visualization and forecasting and ensuring the informed financial decisions. So by implementing these very basic strategies, Alert Logic not only achieved a very substantial reduction in AWS spending, but also they enhanced the resource efficiency and established a sustainable cost management at their end. So the benefits that they availed is they reduced the AWS spend by 28%, decrease the cost of 96% of their compute resources, and improve the visibility of into costs and all their AWS accounts that they had. Next, we have another use case of Airbnb, which is a very famous travel and hotel booking agency. So, since they were experiencing a very rapid growth in their company, managing and optimizing cloud infrastructure was also increasingly getting complex at their end. The company actually faced a lot of challenges in achieving cost efficiency while maintaining the agility required to support its expanding global operations. Also, to address these such challenges, Airbnb actually implemented very key strategies at their end. Firstly, they enhanced the cost visibility within them. They used the AWS cost and usage reports to build a customized data pipeline, providing them detailed insights into cost allocation and usage patterns of their resources, how their resources are being utilized, and what are the cost patterns that they have for their resources. Also, they very keenly observed and optimized their storage by using S3 intelligent peering storage class. They which helped them automatically move their data to a very cost-effective storage tiers based on their access patterns. This led them into saving 27% of their cost savings for storage, specific to storage. So by using intelligent tiering, they actually saved a lot of cost because since they had a lot of data to manage and it was getting difficult for them to decide which data should be stored in which specific storage class. We gave the whole responsibility to intelligent tiering, which actually helped them automatically store their data according to the access patterns. They also used compute cost reduction by transitioning to AWS savings plan and committing to a consistent usage levels in exchange of lower rates up to 60 to 72%. So even Airbnb as well, by using these very basic key strategies, achieved a substantial cost savings, but also empowered their teams to pursue a sustainable growth through continuous optimization and innovation. So these were a very basic use cases wherein you understand by implementing very basic key cost optimization strategies that AWS itself provides you can help you optimize your cost and understand your spending towards AWS resources. So in conclusion, I would help you get key takeaways from this session is that you should be continuously monitoring and right sizing your resources. You should use the cost saving pricing models like savings plan and spot instances. You should actually automate your cost management with AWS budgets and trust advisor. And also you should be implementing best practices from the industry leaders to optimize your cloud expenses. So this is where we come to an end to the cost optimization webinar. Over to you, Sanket.
Yeah, thank you, Rutuja. Yeah, and thank you all for joining today's webinar on the optimizing cloud cost with AWS well-architected framework. We really appreciate your time and engagement in this session. that you have been given. If you have any questions or any doubts kind of thing, please feel to drop them in the Q&A section. We'll be happy to assist you or address on them. If you need any further assistance, right, if you wanted to have any further discussion, one-on-one discussion, we are definitely open for it. You can just send us a mail over a sales@cloud.in. You can get in touch with our sales team. We can have a one-on-one discussion where we can have a open discussion with you. And we really look forward to connecting with you. And you can just shoot your questions if any. And also, I would like to request each one of you. Swapnil has just shared a form, feedback form. I really appreciate for your 2 minutes of time, and you can just fill in that feedback form so that we would just it will give us such some any insights from our session that we would definitely improvise in that session part. And if you any suggest any topic you wanted to have on session on that part, we are really happy to give that session on that topic as well. So please feel free to fill that form, and your feedback truly values us, right? And uh, I think there are no questions, so we can just wrap the session. Okay, then thanks everyone. Have a great day. Happy weekend.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.